We are partnered with the Spark Cleantech Accelerator to bring this really new and exciting program to East Tennessee. So, John, as the director of the Spark Innovation Center, we're going to talk a little bit more about this today. But first, John, tell us about your background and how you got to East Tennessee.
Courtney, can you hear me okay?
I can.
Well, my image is frozen, so I'm sorry you have to look at that while I talk, but I came to Tennessee in 2015 after spending my professional career in Cincinnati. I'm an engineer. I started my own engineering company and ran that for 25 years. And most of the work that we were involved in included some form of energy, oil and gas, and particularly solar and wind. So I came to Knoxville with an entrepreneurial spirit. I had exited my company and was interested in working with some of the startups here. And I got involved in the Innovation Crossroads program and mentored as a TAEBC energy mentor. The Crossroads folks, almost all of the Crossroads companies, spent a little bit of time in the Haslam College of Business as the entrepreneur in residence there, and then began the Spark Innovation Center with Tom Rogers over at the UT Research Park. I'm going to refresh my window if I can real quick, Courtney, and we'll see if I can't get that video to come back on.
Sure. All right. While John does that, hopefully he will be back with us soon. Here he is. Okay. You are moving and talking.
So I'm already over at the Spark Innovation Center as the director in the UT Research Park.
John, when you first came to Tennessee, what were your impressions of Tennessee's entrepreneur and innovation communities?
Well, I think that Knoxville is a fairly young and small entrepreneurial community, and I think we had visions of punching above our weight, and that's a bit of a challenge. So in the 5 or 6 years, 7 years now that I've been in Knoxville, there's been a tremendous amount of organization and collaborative work. There's been a lot of outside capital that has flowed into the area. But I think mostly there's been a tremendous amount of encouragement and support to the actual startup early stage companies themselves. So I think the community is growing. Certainly, it's growing faster than a lot of other cities at this point. I'm not sure that it's keeping up with the advanced energy economy, but we're sure contributing to it.
So, John, you do, as an engineer, you have that background in energy. So again, when you came to Tennessee, what were your impressions of advanced energy? And I'll give folks a little bit of background before you answer that question. This organization was launched because we noticed there were a lot more advanced energy companies in the state than anyone had probably ever realized. And we asked them if they found a value in working together. So I'm curious, with your background in energy, when you came to Tennessee, what were your first impressions of the advanced energy sector?
That it was tremendously well resourced, particularly with institutional laboratory and intellect. We have a huge population of advanced education in our early population demographic. So I saw it as a massive opportunity to help bring some of those technologies that had developed in our institutional labs at Oak Ridge, at UT, into entrepreneurial organizations with some of those extraordinarily bright folks, and to build companies with them. And that's what I really like to do, is work with innovative people to put a business model around their technical innovation and to ultimately reach a level of investability or commercialization. So that's really what we want to do, is we want to contribute to the advanced energy economy in the state and overall the local and regional business community.
So before we start talking more about the Spark Cleantech Accelerator, remind us all again how you got connected with the UT Research Park, which houses the Spark Cleantech Accelerator.
Well, it's an absolutely fascinating part of the world to live in, because there are so many dots that are connected. Piper Communications and TAEBC are a couple of those dots that really help some of the bigger or even more entrepreneurial organizations connect. And I was working both at the Oak Ridge Lab in the Innovation Crossroads program through the Energy Mentor Network, and I got to know Tom Rogers, who moved over to become the CEO of the Cherokee Farm Development Corp and the UT Research Park. And largely because COVID had a lot to do with slowing down some of the companies that were coming through the university, there was a very obvious need to provide wet laboratory space, co-working space, a continuation of mentorship for commercialization and investability for companies that were graduating from some of the laboratories programs and from UT programs. And in fact, we now have a Spark company that is a licensor of an ORNL technology that's from LSU. So the opportunity to continue in the development of those companies was something that we just really had to focus on. And the Spark Innovation Center is very tightly focused on building those young companies, and that was an opportunity that I couldn't pass up.
So now let's talk about the Spark Cleantech Accelerator and the partnerships that made the Spark Cleantech Accelerator possible.
Sure. The Cleantech Accelerator really needs to be thought about in the context of the overall Spark Innovation Center. So the Innovation Center currently houses 6 resident companies and 3 non-resident or virtual companies, for a total of 9 companies that we provide co-working space, we provide mentorship, we provide a lot of programming in terms of workshops and one-on-one consultations. We work with several outside mentors through the Energy Mentor Network in that incubator program. So including Carol Siemens from First Bank, who we've connected with in another way during this meeting. So again, those dots continue to connect. But those companies are here on 1-year facility use agreements and leases. And those companies will graduate in August of this year. So we'll be refilling the incubator with new companies around the 1st of September. Then on top of the incubator companies, we have been fortunate enough to be awarded a DOE EPIC prize. So that's Energy Program Innovation Cluster Prize. that recognized us as one of the top 20 energy incubators in the country. And in that program, we were introduced to two other incubator accelerators in the Midwest, and we positioned ourselves to respond to an FOA, a Department of Energy FOA, for funding to stand up 3 accelerators, business accelerators in each of 3 cities. So Knoxville, Chicago, and Detroit. So our partners are M-Hub in Chicago, Centropolis in Detroit. So we will operate 3 clean tech accelerators over a 12-week period in each of 3 years. And being able to plan that, we haven't begun the execution of it. Our first accelerator will begin on the 1st of June. So we're very excited about that. We're putting a lot of plans together, including with the Energy Mentor Network. But Courtney, to your point, is that we wouldn't have been able to do that and won't be able to execute on our plans without partnerships that include the Energy Mentor Network. I mean, I'm a mentor in that network, but I know how much mentoring this first cohort of 6 companies will take. And the Energy Mentor Network is perfectly positioned to help us really support those companies in all of the aspects that they will be challenged with, from finishing the development of their technologies through really focusing on customer discovery and validation, all the way through financial modeling and preparing for investor pitches. We've also been very fortunate to have arranged other partnerships, including the city of Knoxville. The city of Knoxville is really interested in having these companies come to town and to live here through the summer and to help get their businesses launched and ultimately commercialized, so that hopefully they'll become Knoxville residents and contributing to our local, regional, and state energy economies.
And John, to put a finer point on the last couple of comments that you made, one of the goals of the Spark Cleantech Accelerator is to have these companies stay in East Tennessee and grow their businesses. And I don't know a better way to do that than through connections and partnership. So between the UT Research Park and the Spark Innovation Center and the Tennessee Advanced Energy Business Council and all of the businesses and stakeholders in our advanced energy economy, we have a prime community for any company to come in that advanced energy space and thrive. So I am hopeful that with our partnership, we can extend introductions and opportunities to the first Spark cohort to keep these businesses in East Tennessee and have them grow here.
Right. Well, one of the other opportunities that we see, Courtney, and I'm perhaps offering this as an opportunity to the TAEBC membership here, and that is that when businesses connect with some of these early stage companies, there are a lot of advantages. There are a lot of different areas that can be followed up. We are working with a company, in fact, that has asked to come visit us from Pittsburgh. They're a heat exchanger company, and they simply want to hang out with some of our Cleantech Accelerator participants because they want to see the way innovations happen. They want to work with and spend time with people who are innovators. So how are ideas really capsulized? How do they communicate one to another? What do they write on their whiteboards? How can we capture this style of thinking and this style of business creation and include it in our own businesses? And then to develop even perhaps more regular or even formal relationships with some of these companies so that they could become a customer or they could become part of a company's supply chain. Perhaps there is even a possibility to invest or even merge or acquire one of these companies. So one of the things that I really like about working with these companies, and I'm suggesting that perhaps some of the TAEBC members might enjoy the same, is to be able to just spend time with these really exciting, inspiring young innovators and entrepreneurs.
Yeah, hearing you talk about that, I remember at our Opportunities in Energy event, what we typically weave in there is sort of an innovation energy mentor network showcase. And there was one year where we had a couple of the Oak Ridge National Lab Innovation Crossroads cohorts present. One of them is currently in your incubator. And I remember we had one of our members, after she presented, came up to her and said, "Hang on, we've been trying to figure out that same sort of technology too. Let's talk. Well, let's have you come over to us and let's start talking." And then we've also had a couple of the entrepreneurs in our Energy Mentor Network, same sort of thing. We've had members and stakeholders hear their presentation and even customer discovery kinds of things. "Oh, you need a piece of equipment X to test on? Why don't you come to our manufacturing facility and I'd be happy to take you around and see what you want, and you can have access to our things." So we have seen a lot of really good networking and business development opportunities from those things, and looking forward to more of that. So John, just closing out this conversation, how do you think the East Tennessee landscape will fundamentally change 3 years from now because of the Spark Cleantech Accelerator?
Well, I'm not just hopeful. I'm confident that the clean energy technology portion of the ecosystem here in Knoxville and East Tennessee will continue to grow. It will. So there are several things that I think we need to begin to develop more significant support structures for. And I'll note two of them that are perhaps the most compelling as far as we're concerned. What do we really, really need to do to be able to grow a sustainable network and group of clean tech or materials tech, for that matter, companies that we can grow and keep here? One is we need to make laboratory space more available. We need to have not cheap, but it needs to be affordable in the context of an early stage company. It needs to be available and accessible, and it needs to be coupled with all of the other things that I mentioned that the Spark Innovation Center holds. We are space limited by the Spark Innovation Center. When we graduate our companies after 2 years, we're puzzled now by having succeeded in helping these companies grow. Now, what do we do with them? Because they need bigger lab space or bigger prototyping and bigger scaling space or higher power requirements or purer water requirements. Those are the kinds of things that we're challenged with. And those are really kind of measures of success. So I think we have to get better at the way we are able to provide space for some of these young companies. And certainly we need to be able to open channels of capital in all forms, whether it's from the FOA programs that Melissa mentioned that are available from DOE, or commercial banking, classic debt styles of financing, or even better, angel and venture capital level private scale investments. Now, we've proven that we can make some of those things happen. We're working with First Bank to help us in financial modeling so that we can position some of these companies to be able to be bankable. We're in the process of closing an investment in a Spark company that was syndicated across 3 investors, including one in Knoxville. So we know it can work. We just need to get better at it, and we need to do more of it.
Great. Well, I want to remind everybody on our virtual event today that applications close on April 11th for the Spark Cleantech Accelerator, and I've put a link in the chat box. Also, if we have members that want to participate and partner with us on this accelerator, you know how to reach me. I'll also make sure my email is in the chat box, and we've got a couple minutes left over for networking. So if we have members and stakeholders that want to partner with us and join us in the Energy Mentor Network and the Spark Cleantech Accelerator, please let me know. And also, if you know anybody or you yourself would like to apply to be in the first cohort, that link is in the chat box. John Bruck, thank you very much for joining us.
Always a pleasure, Courtney. Thank you.
All right, we've got 15 minutes left for networking. I want to thank you all for joining us today, and a special thank you to Silicon Ranch for sponsoring our virtual event. Please stick around and network, and have a great day.